Welcome back, everyone. And our next session will inspire you with one of the most successful CX stories of the decade from USA, the Zappos CX success story told by none other but Alexander Genov. Alex is the head of customer experience research at Zappos. With over 25 years of experience in the academic and customer research in the software industry, Alexander applies his experimental social psychology background and his passion for research, design, and innovation to solve important customer and business problems. Over to you, Alex. All right, he's joining in. Alex, are you there? Okay, let's just wait for a few more seconds. As you know, with the virtual things take a bit of time. Well, he's coming all the way from US, hence you need to wait for a little bit. And please remember that if you have any questions, do share them in the chat box that we have. Your questions will be answered, and we really look forward to having positive and nice discussions in the chat box. He's here.
To join you today and to share some thoughts about customer centricity. And let me share my screen. Hopefully, everything is showing as expected. With those online presentations, you never know. I'm really look forward to the day when we continue to do these in person. I miss the live audience, but on to the presentation. So thank you again. And today I would like to share with you a few thoughts, as I said, on customer centricity. I don't have to tell this audience that we live in very uncertain times. Technology changes very rapidly. Business models evolve almost overnight. And to top it off, we're emerging from this global pandemic, which has changed how people interact with each other and with businesses on an almost daily basis. Now, some of the most hotly debated topics in business circles are about whether the pandemic has changed customers' needs, behaviors, and attitudes for good, or where there will be a return to a pandemic, pre-pandemic normal. That matters because during the pandemic, whole industries were decimated and the world was really hurled into economic mayhem. We also live in a fast-paced, consumption-driven society. As consumers, we have so many choices. And in addition to that, the explosion of social media has allowed us to put our best lives on displays for all to see. So we're surrounded by beautiful people kind of living their best lives, and the rest of us are trying to keep up. Facebook, now called Meta, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and the like, are really crowded with those beautiful people living their best lives. This time of uncertainty and consumer choice is really dominated by the rise of big data, data science, machine learning, and algorithms. We live in this era of big data and data science. Now, according to McKinsey, the amount of data in our world has been exploding, and analyzing large data sets, the so-called big data, will become a key basis of competition, underpinning new waves of productivity growth, innovation, and consumer surplus. So these are all great things, right? On the other hand, many businesses strive to create lasting customer loyalty and increase customer lifetime value by creating products and services which are personalized, tailored, and which create this emotional experience and emotional connections with consumers. In their Harvard Business Review article entitled "An Emotional Connection Matters More Than Customer Satisfaction," Alan Zorfas and Daniel Lehman point out that the most effective way to maximize customer value is to tap into customers' fundamental motivations and fulfill their deep, often unspoken emotional needs. That means that appealing to any dozens of emotional motivators, such as the desire to feel a sense of belonging, to succeed in life, to feel more secure, you can recognize the Maslow hierarchy of needs here, that appealing to those motivations can be sometimes more powerful than appealing to practical things like pricing and convenience and so on. In this talk, I will try to convince you that these two trends, I would say even mega trends, the reliance on big data and statistical averages on the one hand, and the quest for cultivating lasting customer loyalty on the other hand, are in opposition to one another and create this inherent tension. This tension needs to be resolved by any business which wants to win the hearts and minds of the consumers of today and tomorrow. In other words, businesses cannot create products and services that result in remarkable customer experiences, and businesses cannot hope to win meaningful customer loyalty until they understand and treat their customers as people instead of just numbers. And this is because really customers aren't numbers, they're people. And you cannot average people. I usually start my presentation by also introducing myself on a personal level. I say that, I'm married. We live in beautiful Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world. And we have 2.4 beautiful children. And little Nicholas is 0.4. And sometimes he gets teased at school for being 0.4. And I tell him, you're going to grow up one day to be a 1.0, a full human being, and so on. So when I tell this to the audience live, I get some chuckles, some laughter from the audience. But that really is no laughing matter in a sense, because this points to the fact that when we start talking about averaging real people and real experiences, we get into the area of absurdity. This is also, there's a story about the statistician who had his head in a hot oven and feet in a block of ice, but on the average, they felt just fine. Again, another example of how absurd it is to think about averaging customer experiences. So here's my point. If you only focus on the numbers, you think of business as spreadsheets. But in fact, it's about relationships. And that's one of the things I learned at Zappos. And this is something that, Tony Hsieh, who headed Zappos for many years, that was one of his brilliant revelations, that it's about relationships. It's about relationships among colleagues, relationships between the business and their vendors, suppliers, relationship between the business and the customers, all of that, the community. It is based on relationships, and in any relationship, trust is critical. Some folks realize this only after something bad happens, and then it's too late. We've noticed this with businesses. When data gets breached, when there's something happens, and then customers lose faith and trust in business. We have to start building and maintaining trust before that happens. At Zappos, we operationally define trust in a very simple but very powerful way. This is by a statement that says, agree or disagree on a scale from 0 to 10. 0 completely disagree, 10 completely agree. Retailers always have my best interest as a customer in mind. And you can substitute that for any statement. Businesses or any brand always has my best interest as a customer in mind. That question was developed by the creator of the Net Promoter Score, Fred Reichheld. And it really, to me, is a really good measure of trust. The same way Net Promoter is a very good measure of loyalty. So we calculate net trust in the same way Net Promoter is being calculated. We collect data by running a quarterly survey of representative samples of the general population of shoppers in the US, large representative samples. And based on how we conceptualize and measure trust, you can see that really net trust, which is the difference between the people who give top score on that question, 9 and 10, and we subtract the people who really disagree with that, 0 to 6. You can see for yourselves that the number is pretty worrisome, and it's been going in the wrong direction over the past 3 years. So that is something to really think about, how trust is related to loyalty, how trust really affects business and the bottom line. We also collect trust and other relevant metrics data in our Voice of the Customer survey. This is our feedback loop. So we invite all our customers to give us feedback. We open this channel to them, and they can, at any point when they use Zappos, the website or the mobile apps and so on, click a link and give us a piece of their mind, give us feedback. And based on that, we analyzed a very large data set from our customers who rated Zappos on trust, ease of use of the website, ease of finding products, even personalization and so on. So you can see here that we ran an analysis called discriminant analysis, which predicts whether somebody is going to be a promoter or a detractor on the Net Promoter Score based on their ratings they gave us on trust, ease of use, ease of search. When we ran this analysis, the whole model was highly statistically significant. And what was really interesting about it was that trust was the most powerful predictor of Net Promoter Score, which is loyalty, essentially. Also, our internal research is supported by many other external research sources like the Gallup poll, Edelman. They have a trust meter, something that they've dubbed the trust meter. Statistic has been aggregating a lot of numbers over the years. And I remember from a couple of years ago, they had a really interesting infographic where they ranked the trustworthiness of professions in the United States. So somebody had run a large survey with US consumers, and they had found that at the bottom of the trust ladder were members of Congress, followed by car salesmen, and then a third from the bottom were business executives. Again, this is something has to do with, how business is conducted and how businesses treat their customers. Now, there is a better way to focus on customers and to build that trust. And today I'm going to show you how. We have to build customer trust over time, and not only by understanding customers as people, but by treating them that way, the right way, by treating them the way we want it to be treated. And that starts by giving customers a voice. You can build your own Voice of the Customer program, and you have to, if you're going to remain competitive and customer-centric. If you really don't understand your customers as humans and treat them the way you want it to be treated, you're really not going to have a lasting, loyal customer base that supports you through the years. So let me now cover and talk to you about our journey on which we have embarked on to create our Voice of the Customer program, which is one of the mechanisms in which Zappos builds customer trust. Of course, Zappos is known for its customer service, stellar customer service. That's what put Zappos on the map 22 years ago. And it's still very strong. That's what Zappos is known for. So this is one of the ways in which we really treat our customers exceptionally well when they call us on the phone. And then another program we've developed is this feedback loop where customers can reach out through the digital channels and give us their feedback. So again, when I joined Zappos about 7 years ago, I joined the most customer-centric company when it came to high-touch customer service on the phone. But soon after I joined, I realized that the Zappos customer service, that spirit was not fully reflected on the digital side of things, on the websites and mobile apps and the mobile web. So, for example, no one at Zappos at the time was reading customer comments, and we've always been focused on data. That's very important, and leadership, of course, was focused on the numbers, on big data. But then at some point, we realized that we need to do more in order to bring that spirit of the excellent Zappos customer service to the digital experience. And so we embarked on this journey. We created the Voice of the Customer program from scratch. And here I'll give you a very brief introduction to it in the context of you may recognize the hero's journey. And our journey started at a time when Zappos was in this experiment of self-organization. And we were all encouraged to think about important problems, customer problems and business problems that need to be solved, and to self-organize around those. So once we realized that we can bring in some more data, qualitative, sometimes anecdotal, but still powerful data, to the Zappos holistic data program, we started this little, they were called circles, Voice of the Customer circle. And we, were first a very grassroots, then we got attached to a larger circle, business analytics circle. And we started collecting a lot of feedback. We first started using a third-party survey tool, and at some point we encountered challenges with it. First, we really needed to collect a lot of data, so the costs was kind of skyrocketing. And we also, because data privacy and security is of utmost importance for Zappos, and we're part of Amazon, the Amazon family, so we couldn't be collecting sensitive customer information through third-party tools. So we needed to create our own internal program. And it took us about maybe a year and a half to find, an engineer who saw the value in what we were doing. And he created a very simple survey, that internal survey behind the firewall. We started collecting data that way. And then the next challenge was to not only report the voice of the customer, the net promoter number, but to provide insights into what we can do to fix issues that customers were having. So those insights were hidden within the mountains of text data that customers were giving us. So say, how likely to recommend Zappos, and then how can we improve Zappos? And they would be writing us paragraphs or one sentence or a word. But to unlock those insights, we needed to partner with really good text analytics providers. And it took us a while to do that. Ultimately, we found a really good, powerful startup out of England called Chattermill. We partnered with them, and now come today, we've gone a long way. Now our executives read customer comments on a weekly basis. They discuss those issues, customer issues up front and center. And we really have this now. The Voice of the Customer is a top 10 program where we look at the top 10 customer frustrations, and every team is empowered to then go and figure out how to fix those issues. So you can create your own program. Here you need to focus on the four aspects of collecting the data, storing it, and also analyzing it, and most importantly, acting on the insights. So I think that's all the time I have for you guys today. And let me again leave you with a final thought of this presentation, which is, always ask yourself, how well do I know my customers? Because at the end of the day, data alone won't create customer loyalty. Only by listening and building trust over time will you be able to create customers for life.
Thank you so much, Alexander. It was truly an inspiring and empowering session.